Welcome everyone, I'm Michelle Schumann, the Artistic Director of the Austin Chamber Music Center. This is Festival Focus and I'm so happy to be here with Lara St. John. Welcome Lara, thank you for joining us.
Thank you. This is my first Skype interview.
Ooh, well, hopefully not your last. I'm so happy that Lara is going to be performing with us along with Matt Herskowitz on July 16th, which, by the way, is my birthday, so we'll have a big party.
Oh, great.
And Lara is a virtuoso violinist. She travels around the world. She's performed with many of the major orchestras, and so we're really, really excited to have her at the festival. She has a reputation of being one of the most fiery and exciting, almost gypsy-like violinists out there. Oh, she laughs because she knows she has this reputation. And one of the things that I'm really attracted to with your programming is that you just do some really interesting programs and programming and combining some of the usual suspects together with these gems that we don't often expect all the time. And I know that you have your own arrangements and everything. So I was wondering if you could tell me a little bit about the Labuda Project, which is the title of your concert.
It basically comes from a lifelong love of, and I guess fascination, possibly bordering on obsession, music started out music from Eastern Europe. Like when I was a kid, I went to Hungary for the first time when I was 11 and sort of thought, I think I've been kidnapped by a Canadian family and this is where I belong kind of thing. Because, just hearing all the music all over the place there, it's so incredible. And so I became really interested in like sort of classical music inspired by Roma and folk music, so a lot of the bar talk and this kind of thing. And then eventually I ended up living in what was then the Soviet Union for a year and just kind of in a sort of Bartokian manner, just kind of went around and sort of just learned songs and tunes and pieces. And what it was then Yugoslavia, went out to many parts of Yugoslavia, out to Hungary, down to Kazakhstan, to Armenia, to Georgia, so and just like the fascination of how all these things are so different, but yet so entwined with each other. And so later on, it became sort of like branched out a little bit more into a little further east and more into sort of Jewish origin music from that whole area. But I mean, generally that big chunk of land there. And the Labuda Project began with me kind of thinking, well, I know all these tunes. I have a collection of like tens of thousands of them. And why not, give them to composers and have them just kind of do what they want with like various tunes. And I know a lot of composers, obviously. And so they, the thing is, like the Romanian stuff and some of the Hungarian, it's so violin centric. Like, I mean, that's really like where the focus lies, and a lot of klezmer stuff as well. Those you can just sort of transcribe yourself. I mean, those are all kind of my own. I make some stuff up and whatever, but it's basically just the tunes that don't need any kind of special arrangement or whatever. But a song, for example, a ballad, it's basically the same thing over and over, maybe 4 verses, but if you're a violin and you're not changing the words, then, you need some imagination there. So that's kind of where the composers came in. And I really just wanted to have have some of these songs that I love so much, like kind of come back onto the concert stage at this point. So I think there we're going to be doing, there's a sort of a Levantine song, Achia Zain, probably Chocek from Macedonia, Sarisirum Yar from Armenia, Lara from Israel, Jewish diaspora, and Chardashian Rhapsody from Hungary. So, and those are all reimagined by composers.
Well, and I love that you've paired this together with the Franck Sonata, which is a kind of gypsy music on its own in a way, too.
Well, it's extremely romantic. So, I mean, it has elements of it for sure. But Matt and I just love the Franck. I mean, I think it's for violin and piano. That's just such a momentous work.
Yeah, it's about as emotional as you can possibly get. So
yeah.
Great.
Yeah, so basically, it's a little bit something for everybody.
Absolutely.
we're also doing, I mean, Matt's also known as actually better known as a jazz pianist than classical. And so we're doing some of his Gershwin arrangements as well.
Lovely. It'll be
Gershwin was actually born Gershowitz and he's Herskowitz. So I don't know. I think they're probably related.
Nice. So let's move on now to some questions that some of our Facebook fans want to know. They're really, some of them are fun and thoughtful, and all the artists so far, I've had a good time with them, so I hope you will too. The first question is from Judy Matula. She wants to know, what's the difference in how you play music, how you experience music you play during rehearsals versus a live performance?
Well, I guess in rehearsals, you're always trying to think, how can I improve this for the live performance? And then once it's a live performance, like, caution goes to the wind, etc. A friend of mine once had a quote, which is, well, just when you walk out on stage, lower your standards. And in a way, that's kind of what you do, because if something goes wrong in a rehearsal, then you're like, okay, I have to remember that, let's look at that bit or whatever. But in concert, it's like, whatever, it's a concert. Let's keep going. So it's a different kind of concentration, I guess. Yeah. And you're much more analytical in rehearsal, I suppose. But I try very hard to, before, especially if it's the first time I'm doing a concerto or a piece or anything, to make it like a practice concert. Like even if it's just for my giant lizard or whatever, just to make sure that I've gone from beginning to end in that sort of mindset, so that I won't be totally unfamiliar with it on stage.
Do you actually have a giant lizard?
I do. Yeah, it's 4'4".
Oh my goodness. Our second question is from Karen Richmond. This is kind of fun. If you could play any piece for anyone, living or dead, real or mythical, what would you play and who would you play it for?
That's such a giant amount of choice. Wow, living or dead, mythical. Well, mythical. You don't usually get the choice of mythical.
Right, I know. That's why it's kind of fun in there.
I'd probably want to do something from Tolkien, from The Lord of the Rings, or something in that mythical world. To sort of to set some of the Quenya songs or whatever.
You could be riding in on your giant lizard.
He'd need some wings.
Our third question is from Oral Garza Tucker. She writes, what was the moment or piece of music that made you want to become a musician?
Well, for me, that might be a little different than for most. I actually started playing when I was 2. And so therefore, I mean, it's kind of like learning a language. You don't really remember learning it or whatever. But I think I was sort of a kind of troublesome teen bopper, I suppose. And I tried to quit and run away lots of times like that. And every time there would be some little moment like a piano thing or something like that. And all of a sudden I'd be like, oh, I can't leave this. So I remember very specifically, actually, it was the D minor harpsichord concerto. I had sort of decided that I was going to quit, and that was it. I think I was maybe 11 or 12. And so that was sort of one of those clinching moments where, what, I'm never going to get away from this, so I might as well love it.
Nice. And our last question is
go ahead.
Is from Alan Ambar. He writes, why does classical music still matter today? It's kind of a heavy question. And what would you say to someone who thinks classical concert might be boring?
Oh, that's a pretty heavy one. It matters today in the same way that like ballet matters to dance. It's kind of the foundation, I think, of Western music. For example, now I like to think that all styles are intertwined. So every classical composer was influenced by some sort of folk or dance from that time. More a little bit later in that, but even Bach would have known these, dance movements. He would have heard, especially a little bit later in Beethoven and Mozart's time, Turkish marches, for example. So everybody was influenced by the music of others, and that continues today. I think it's Radiohead or something, but your average top 40 pop song. It has a shelf life of about, I don't know, 3 weeks. And after a while, it sort of, people are going to look for the next one kind of thing. And I think that because pop has this constant beat and rock and everything, and I think it's just so familiar because we all knew that beat before we were even born. Mm-hmm. And I think what classical does is it sort of goes beyond that and gives you like sort of the infinite variety within that beat. And therefore, I think that's why sometimes people ask me, like, why is it that it's a lot of older people that go to classical music? I think because after a certain age, you just want more. You need just more depth and more emotion and more feeling than your average, like, boom, 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 And not that there's anything wrong with pop, but it's easy. And classical is not easy.
I always say that, we don't worry that little kids don't like dark chocolate or fine wine or stinky cheese. Everyone kind of grows into those things. And classical music is one of those kind of, I think, finer tastes too.
One can, but that being said, if the little kid's parents aren't into dark chocolate and all they ever do is eat at McDonald's, then they're probably not going to try that later in life. So that's, again, why, in my opinion, musical education and education in the arts is so important. Mm-hmm. Because even if they don't like dark chocolate now, they've tried it and they know it exists and all this kind of stuff. So that's kind of a simile that you could put into music education.
Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah, I happen to like all of those things.
Yeah, good. Then we will have all of those things when you come.
Wine and the cheese.
Good, then we will celebrate with lots of wine and cheese and maybe some dark chocolate too.
Awesome. Can't wait.
Well, we're so looking forward to having you here in a few short weeks, and it'll just be thrilling. So thank you so much for being here for this interview now, and we'll see you very soon.
Thank you. Yeah, looking forward to it. It's only going to be my second time in Austin ever.
Oh, good. Well, then we'll make it the best time in Austin.
Okay. Awesome. Thanks so much.
All right. Take care, Lara. Bye-bye.
Bye.